day one of proofreading. I don't have time to put on makeup and look cute for you guys because I need to finish reading this guy in 3 days, or at least I'm gonna try. So once again, I figured this is something I'm doing for the release and I know people have questions about it and are interested, so I thought I'd bring you guys along for the journey. It's gonna be a little bit vlog style as I go through it, but also I will give you some steps that I specifically do. I have a really specific process, and so hopefully you'll have some fun takeaways from how I proofread my books before release day. Everything I'm about to tell you, feel free to take it or leave it, because I do have a really specific process, very unique to me, that I have developed over, what is this, book 10 now, I think? Anyway, the first step is to figure out how fast I can read this, because it really helps to proofread the book like a reader and get it fast, to read it at the same pace you would read a normal book. And I tend to, when I start normal books, I tend to literally not put them down until I'm done. But also I am on a very tight schedule because how do I say this? I just didn't get things done as quickly as I should have in the past, and I'm paying for it now. Because I want to be able to input all the changes that I might need to make in here and submit the final book to all 5 vendors by Friday, and it's Monday today, I have decided that I want to try to read in 3 days, and then have Thursday to make the changes, and then Friday to submit the book everywhere. So my first step is going to be to divide the page count, which is 367 pages at the moment. And I'm gonna divide that by 3. Let's do it right now. See if I can do this backwards. 368 pages divided by 3. So roughly 122 pages a day. And then I'm gonna say, this is definitely a guessing game here because I don't really know how long that's gonna take me to read this many pages. I should know that, but I have no idea. Let's say roughly 4 hours. It might take way longer because proofreading is way more intensive than actual reading. Obviously, you're really paying close attention and you might need to take breaks and whatnot, but let's say 4 hours. So I'm gonna divide it again by 4. Looks like 30 pages an hour. Ooh, I don't know if that's doable. We'll find out. I think I might even put little sticky notes in here to give myself little mile markers. Let's do that. We have a very cute cameo of a potato here. Okay. So here's what I've got every 30 or so pages, roughly. So crooked. All right, so this is day 1, this is day 2, and this is day 3. I don't know if this is going to annoy me or if this will be helpful, but we'll see. Every book, my process is a little bit different, but I usually like to make use of all white space. So I will literally use the front cover page and the back cover page for things like timeline tracking, and sometimes I've used it for kind of story Bible elements, like let's keep track of this and remember everything. I am literally going to proofread every single page, including, you know, copyrights and title page and just legit everything. And I'm gonna take my red pen out and mark up absolutely everything that needs to change and go. And then I like to put a little check mark at the bottom of the page once I've completed it and it looks good. Once I've gone through the entire book and I've checked every single page, the next step is actually to transfer all of those notes and changes into my document. And so as I do that, this is super detailed, but I'll take a yellow highlighter and highlight each of those little red marks once I have made the change, to let myself know that I actually completed that change, because usually you don't do this all in one sitting. You'll have to take breaks and you don't want to forget what you have and haven't done. So I will literally mark every single change as I make it with a highlighter. And then last but not least, I'll go over all my notes in the front and back of the book that I have made for the timeline or anything else, characters, big changes, blah, 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 anything that I needed to make notes about and just review that I've covered all my bases. Forgot to mention this, but I also will always make a new fresh document with a new fresh title when I'm doing my proofread, so that when I re-upload it to the vendor site, they don't see it as the same title and then they don't make the updates, because KDP at least will do that. I don't know about the others, but you want to make sure that the updates are actually put into effect, and to do that you need to have a new file name just so that the computer can differentiate that this is something new. The last step, of course, is then going to be to upload that new file with all the proofreading changes into your print-on-demand company so that they have the final file. And that's my method, but let's see how it actually goes. On to the vlog part of this video. You have asked me for actual specific examples of proofreading, so I'm going to try to give you some without sharing too much of the story. So sometimes it'll be for things like consistency. Like, for example, I knew that the main door of the library being out of sight, I was pretty sure there was another spot on the next couple pages where I would need to double check that that was accurate, so I can leave myself little notes like this. Or sometimes there's things that are what are called echoes, where there's the same exact word or a very similar word that's used very close together and it makes it sound repetitive. So in this line it says, it revealed the last few shelves of a dusty bookshelf. So I thought I could make it the last few shelves of a dusty bookcase instead. Right now I am reading right here and I had a couple good examples. So let me zoom in. And here's another example of an echo. So I was trying to figure out how to do it. Used to use it myself. I used to have it myself. Could work there. Or up here, it fell flat. And on the very same page, she says something flatly. So this is the type of stuff that you don't necessarily notice when you are reading, but you're like, okay, maybe I should work on that. Very tiny details, something like this. I sank deeper into the wall and closed my eyes. Well, you can't actually sink into a wall. So sometimes it's just finding something that's a little bit more accurate. And usually I would obviously do this during further back edits, but this is when I missed and I was like, you know what? I'm thinking about this a little harder. I prefer that it would be I sank back against the wall instead. Or another great example would be a contraction. Usually I'm pretty good at catching my contractions where you write it out like this and I already have them like here already contracted, but in this case it had cut me off from my abilities and myself in ways I'd never imagined. It's easier to just make it the contraction, and I usually try to do that in general because it reads less formal and more natural. So those are a few examples of how I've been proofreading, and as you can see I am only this far and I technically should be here today. So it's definitely taking longer than expected, as all editing does, to be honest. I feel like I almost never ever judge how long it's going to take me to edit correctly, but once I get to the end and I'm ready to start inputting my notes, I'll come back and show you how I go through all of these and I go ahead and input all of these changes. And so I'll talk to you guys again very soon. All right, it is day 3 and I am right here. I've only gotten through day 1. So you guys know I have a deadline. So today is going to be crunch time. I'm literally going to read the other half of the book. I'm basically halfway. I'm not even halfway. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing today. All right, I finished proofreading all of this last night around 2 a.m. So it took me 4 days instead of 3, but then it occurred to me that 3 days is how long I gave myself for The Cursed Hunter, which was half the size of this guy. So really, I read it really fast. I should have given myself 6 days. But anyway, so I take big picture notes in the front. In the back, I did timeline notes, which I don't want to show you too closely. And then it ended up turning into more of a chapter summary with timeline. And so I had this page, this page, this page, and this page. So it ended up being good that I had an accidental extra page in there. This is actually way less marked up than previous drafts, but I still wrote myself a lot of notes. I made this little page for you guys. Let me see if I can show it all.
And I know I showed a few of these already, but let me show you a few more that have come up since the last time I showed you.
Deleting stuff, even if it's really small, like instead of winking over at Adele, I just put winking at Adele. This is actually pretty good that this was the first typo. It says, I can't find the key. So it was supposed to be just, I can't find the key. Seeing your book in a different format like this, you catch stuff like that. I also made notes throughout this when I would catch a fun quote that I thought would be fun to share for marketing purposes, like this one and this one and this one and this one. Sometimes it's also like word spacing like that. I think there's too many spaces right there. So just checking that. And then the last thing I like to do, which I kind of pointed out already with this timeline, and sometimes I do it separate, sometimes I do it together. So with the timeline, I ended up just doing chapter summaries and timelines together. But I literally write out what happens in that chapter and I summarize it with like a line or two like this. But right now I'm mostly checking for the sake of timeline issues because there's a lot of complicated timelines in this book that I haven't had in other books where it's one character is on their own timeline and then the other two are on a different timeline, and it's like back and forth, and at the end they merge together and they're on the same timeline. So I just need to make sure it's all snazzy. All right, so the second step is I'm going to start putting all these changes into my computer.
Baby, take me back to
I'm 2/3. Found out for the first time this runs out at 100 minutes. It starts over, or 100 minutes. So I switched to this, which is still running. Whoops. And I'm exactly at an hour. Let's see. So that is a little over 2.5 hours. So I think I have maybe an hour left, and I'm so sore right now. All right, let's keep going. Hopefully we'll be done by 7 o'clock.
Why don't we go back to, why don't we go back to, never wanted to end it like we did. I guess shit happens for a reason, but it's like something feels different from back then. Why don't we go back to, why don't we go back to, honestly I'm open wide.
Oh my gosh, the lighting is so bad, but it is 7:10. And I have just finished almost exactly 2 hours plus 100 minutes earlier, so just a little over 3.5 hours to put all of this in here. So let me show you now because it's going to be a very different look. Ready for this? I don't know if you're going to be able to tell. You see all that yellow? Yeah. And it's very detailed work because it's not like they're hard changes. It's literally just checking, do I have an extra space here? Do I want to try to find a different word there? It's very, very small stuff. And then I marked a few more possible quotes on the bottom, although I have a bunch saved in a document already. And then at the very top here, I've got a little sticky to fix the second map in the book. So I'm going to do that right now. Print it out so I can take a picture of it for Instagram tomorrow, because why not? I'll give you a little sneak peek of the map here on the screen when I finish it. I will share a little fun sneak peek picture, but essentially I am done. That is my proofreading process. So if you have any other questions about proofreading, let me know, but hopefully that kind of clears it up where it is supposed to be, you know, the final pass before you publish your book. It's supposed to be, you've done the really detailed edits before, and this is hopefully just catching last minute things. But of course, I am super picky, and so if I see something, I change it, which means that I actually did add a tiny, tiny little paragraph. You're not supposed to do that when you get to the proofreading stage, but this is not the first time that I've done that. So everybody's process is different. Don't judge me. If you judge me, I don't really care. I hope you enjoyed this fun little vlog where I brought you through my proofreading process. It was really fun to make, and so give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want more content like this, and I'll talk to you guys again very soon. Bye. Whew.
I had a feeling you'd come back and save me from all those lonely nights and heartbreaks, and I feel misplaced without you. Why don't